First of all, why do you think it is that not all of your recommendations have so far been implemented?
Well, I think it's fairly simple, actually. It was simply that when Rishi commissioned me to do this 2 years ago, he was Chancellor of the Exchequer. He was then Chancellor for about the next year, and we made some decent progress, as you just heard me saying in the chamber yesterday. But then, of course, we had a bit of a sort of a pause last summer, and he wasn't in government, and therefore things sort of lost momentum. So we've got to get back on track. We've got to re-inject that energy that we had.
And what are examples of these things that haven't yet been implemented? That I suppose the big point about these 30 reforms is that they're all sort of politically possible. What's top of the list?
Well, for me at least, the two I mentioned in the chamber in that clip you just played are really, really valuable. One is to reform some of the energy of the utility regulators, just because our utility sector, not just energy but others too, telecoms and water in particular, are moving pretty slowly. They're very heavily burdened by lots and lots of red tape. It means they can't be very customer focused, and the prices that we're all paying as a result are higher than they need to be, even after you've allowed for people like Vladimir Putin invading Ukraine. And the other thing is, there's this bit of our economy called open banking, which is a huge international success. Not many people know about it, but it's an enormous success, and it's kind of an industry of the future. And if we can roll that out to apply across lots of other sectors too, repeat the trick that we've already done in banking, in things like energy, in retailing, in water, elsewhere, then we can have that kind of forward-looking international lead in lots of other industries of the future too.
What do you say to those who say that this has been a government that's been not that enthusiastic about the supply-side reform agenda? The previous Prime Minister listed at least 10 areas of supply-side reform, from planning to childcare to migration to everything else, that it was going to get on and do. It seems like not only the tax cuts have been thrown away by this government, but also those big areas of seismic supply-side reform.
You've been here for long?
Well, I was very, very reassured actually by Rishi Sunak's reply to me in Prime Minister's questions yesterday, where he said, yeah, he wants to get on with this, he wants to meet me, he wants to talk about how we can take it forward. And I think, to be fair, in his first 100 days, he's had to do an awful lot of firefighting just to steady the ship, just to settle things down, make sure that the financial markets got back to normal, that interest rates were not spiralling in the wrong direction. And that was priority number one when he took over. Now they've done that, and they've done it very successfully. Now we can get back onto the more longer-term things, which, as you rightly say, are absolutely essential. And I take comfort from the fact that he was the bloke who commissioned me to write this stuff in the first place. So he clearly believes in it, otherwise he wouldn't have asked me to do it in the first place.